Welcome back. This is Tammy again. In this lesson, we're going to go over lesson 5, No Wrong Numbers. We're going to read the article and answer this question. What does no wrong numbers mean? Private telephone service. It says, Mr. James Scott has a garage in Silbury, and now he has just bought another garage in Penhurst. Penhurst is only 5 miles from Silbury, but Mr. Scott cannot get a telephone for his new garage. So he has just bought 12 pigeons. A pigeon or pigeons are birds. Yesterday, a pigeon carried the first message from Penhurst to Silbury. A message is written, verbal, something that's written or verbal that we want to communicate with others. The bird covered means an extended. The bird covered the distance in 3 minutes. Covered the distance. This means that the bird he flew over an extended amount of land. So the bird flew over an extended amount of land. Up to now, Mr. Scott has sent a great many requests. Requests are polite ways to ask something. It's a polite way to ask someone to do something. Mr. Scott has sent a great many requests for spare parts. Spare parts are extra parts of something. Spare means extra, and parts are various things that we have. So spare parts are extra things that we have or need. For example, a mechanic, someone who works on cars, may have spare auto parts. He may have a spare tire, or he may have a spare screw, or whatever a car needs. And other urgent messages from one garage to the other. In this way, he has begun his own private telephone service. Service is work that we do for someone. Help or work that we do for someone. So let's read the passage again. Mr. James Scott has a garage in Silbury, and now he has just bought another garage in Penhurst. Penhurst is only 5 miles from Silbury, but Mr. Scott cannot get a telephone for his new garage. So he has just bought 12 pigeons, birds. Yesterday, a pigeon carried the first message, a written or verbal communication from Penhurst to Silbury. The bird covered the distance. The bird flew over an extended area in 3 minutes. Up to now, Mr. Scott has sent a great many requests. A great many polite ways of asking someone for something, for spare parts, for extra things, and other urgent messages from one garage to the other. In this way, he has begun his own private telephone service. Work that is done, his own private work. Now, what does no wrong numbers mean? Well, no wrong numbers mean since there are no telephone numbers, he's not calling anyone on the phone, he's sending birds to do the work. So since there are birds to do the work, there are no wrong numbers to dial. Now let us answer some questions about what we've just read. Number 1, where has Mr. Scott opened his second garage? Mr. Scott has just opened his second garage in Pinehurst. Number 2, where is his first garage? His first garage is in Silbury. How far away is Silbury? Silbury is only 5 miles from Pinehurst. Number 4, can Mr. Scott get a telephone for his new garage or not? Mr. Scott cannot get a telephone for his new garage. What has he bought? He has just bought 12 pigeons. In how many minutes do they carry messages from one garage to the other? In 3 minutes, they carry messages from one garage to the other. What happened and what has happened? Well, what happened was I wrote to him last month. I bought this car last year. He came to see me this morning. I saw him 10 minutes ago. That's what's happened. Now what has happened? The train has just left the station. I've already seen that film. He has been abroad for 6 months. Have you ever met him before? I have never met him before. I have not finished work yet. There have been a great number of accidents lately. Up till now, he has won 5 prizes. Now let's underline all the verbs in the passage that tell us what happened and what has happened. Mr. James Scott has a garage in Silbury, and now he has just bought another garage in Pinehurst. Pinehurst is only 5 miles from Silbury, but Mr. Scott cannot get a telephone for his new garage, so he has just bought 12 pigeons. Yesterday, a pigeon carried the first message from Pinehurst to Silbury. The bird covered the distance in 3 minutes. Up to now, Mr. Scott has sent a great many requests for spare parts and other urgent messages from one garage to the other. In this way, he has begun his own private telephone service. Now we're going to give the correct form of the verb in parentheses. Mr. James Scott has a garage in Silbury, and now he just bought another garage in Pinehurst. Pinehurst is only 5 miles from Silbury, but Mr. Scott cannot get a telephone for his new garage, so he has just bought 12 pigeons. Yesterday, a pigeon carried the first message from Pinehurst to Silbury. The bird covered the distance in 3 minutes. Up to now, Mr. Scott has sent a great many requests for spare parts and other urgent messages from one garage to the other. In this way, he has begun his own private telephone service. We're going to do this again. We're going to give the correct form of the verb in parentheses. The verb is buy. What blank you blank yesterday? What did you buy yesterday? Number 2, up till now, he never lent me anything. Blank you burn those old papers yet? Have you burned those old papers yet? Number 4, he fought in Flanders in the First World War. They already left. Lose. When did you lose your umbrella? Listen. Blank you blank to the concert last night. Did you listen to the concert last night? We just blank the match. When? We just won the match. Words often confused and misused. In the way, on the way, in this way, by the way, in a way. In the way. Please move this chair. It is in the way. Do your work in the way I have shown you. On the way. On the way to the station, I bought some chocolate. In this way. He saves old envelopes. In this way, he has collected a great many stamps. By the way, have you seen Harry recently? In a way, it is an important book. We're going to put the correct phrases in the sentences. Blank from Athens to London, the plane stopped at Rome. On the way. Number 2, I cooked this blank you showed me. I cooked this in the way you showed me. Number 3, blank, where is my coat? By the way, where's my coat? Number 4, yes, blank, he has been very successful. Yes, in a way, he has been very successful. Number 5, children get blank during the holidays. Children get in the way during the holidays. Spare and to spare. I cannot spare the time. I have no time to spare. I cannot buy spare parts for this car. There is a spare room in this house. Caligula spared the slaves' lives. Now let's rewrite the sentences using spare or to spare. Number 1, there is an extra wheel in the back of the car. There is a spare wheel in the back of the car. I always go on excursions in my free time. I always go on excursions in my spare time. Have you any old clothes that you do not want? He asked. Do you have any old clothes to spare? The guest slept in the room we do not use. The guest slept in the spare room. Do not kill me, begged the prisoner. Spare me, begged the prisoner. Multiple choice. Mr. Scott hasn't got a telephone in his new garage because he can't get one. Number 2. Mr. Scott keeps pigeons because he uses them to send messages. Number 3. Mr. Scott has a garage. The garage is not to him, not of him, not of his, but his. Mr. Scott cannot get a telephone for his garage because he has just bought 12 pigeons. Not because he has just bought 12 pigeons, but that's why he has just bought 12 pigeons. He has just bought 12 pigeons. When did he blank them? When did he buy them? What's the distance from Penhurst to Silbury? How blank is Penhurst blank Silbury? How far is Penhurst from Silbury? The pigeons flew from one garage to the other, blank 3 minutes. The pigeons flew from one garage to the other in 3 minutes. Vocabulary. Mr. Scott has a garage in Silbury. His other garage is in Penhurst. Mr. Scott can't get a telephone. Telephones are hard to obtain. Obtain is another way to say get. We can't get a telephone, or we can say we can't obtain a telephone. Number 10, he has sent requests for spare parts. He has blank for spare parts. He has asked for spare parts. Urgent messages are important, so they must be sent quickly. If something is urgent, we must send it as soon as possible. We must send it quickly. Mr. Scott's telephone service is private. That means it's secret. Mr. Scott's telephone service is private. It is secret. It is his own. Private means something that belongs only to us. It is our own. Now, let's join these sentences together with but and so. Penhurst is only 5 miles from Silbury. Mr. Scott cannot get a telephone for his new garage. He has just bought 12 pigeons. Penhurst is only 5 miles from Silbury. But Mr. Scott cannot get a telephone. So he has just bought 12 pigeons. Penhurst is only 5 miles from Silbury, but Mr. Scott cannot get a telephone, so he has just bought 12 pigeons.